touchdown. And he flips the ball to Rowdy to do with what he will.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Week 3 Waiver Wire Edition show, where we are going to try to dumpster dive, essentially, and surf for some players, guys, to improve your roster. Now, I'll be honest, guys, I'm probably not the first show out there to tell you this, but man, it's not looking too good. There's not a lot of obvious guys out there. Now, there are a lot of obvious guys out there, I should say that, but these guys are taken. So we'll go through them briefly, and we might as well just start right now before we go into quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end. I really don't have a lot of guys this week, guys. And listen, just a fair warning for you guys out there. If you're in priority waivers, tell your commissioner to kill himself and get a new waiver system. We do fab waivers, okay? Fab budget waivers where you bid with a budget, monopoly money, whatever you want to call it. You bid money on the players. All right. If you guys are playing priority waivers, you're living in the past, get with the times. I mean, I don't know if you're the commissioner of the league and you do priority waivers, I would honestly jump off a cliff, and I'm not kidding. But, if you're playing with a commissioner that's not with the times and playing on some old 2015 waiver system, tell them to get with the times and come over to fab budget. It's probably too late at this point, but it's the best way because you could dictate how much you should bid on every single player. And before we get started, that's a good point I mentioned, because if you do want to know the priority order, how much I bid on every player, head over to Discord, guys. $5 a month. Do the Patreon, subscribe to the Patreon, come to the Discord group, trying to build up a community where not only you can ask me about my waivers, but you could ask me about trades. You could ask me about lineup decisions. On game day, 5 minutes before the game starts, I don't care. I got notifications on like 2 times and then some on that. Buzzers, vibe. I'll answer every single question on that on the Discord chat, guaranteed. Whatever you want when it comes to, maybe not fantasy. I'll have to start a separate channel for that, but mainly fantasy related. I will answer any question you want, including, most importantly, who should I bid? How much should I bid for? The upper tier, you get the write-up and a couple other perks, but, the $5 tier is really all you need. You get in there, you get in the club, you ask me whatever you want. But anyway, guys, let's start with the first segment, and then we'll kind of roll through the few guys that I like this week. So the first segment, if I'm going to officially name it, and that is basically the segment where if these guys are on your waiver wires, find a new league. Okay, you're not playing in a serious league. You're playing in a league for teenagers, a league that you're playing the game on rookie mode, essentially. It's just not, freaking annoying, these headphones. But you're playing the game on rookie mode. It's the best way to put it. You're not challenging yourself enough. You're not really having to dig deep. These guys should not be on your waiver wires. Or you're in a shallow league, which is like almost just as bad, because you'd no point of watching this if you're in a shallow league. You don't need waivers. If you're in a 10-man league, your team should be stacked already. Everyone's team is stacked in a 10-man. So that's partially why I don't play in those leagues. Let me pull up my list. So obviously we'll go through some few names. First guy that if he's on your waiver wire, find a new league. Basil Tootin for the Jaguars. He's now the number 2 running back after they traded Tank Bigsby last week to the Eagles, who's basically sitting on the bench with the Eagles, unfortunately. But Basil Tootin, in 25% of the snaps, was able to score 15 points. If you watch the game versus Cincinnati, you just saw some of the explosiveness, the sort of elusiveness that he adds to the game. He's basically I don't know, it might be a little bit of a stretch, but he kind of looks like what ETN was supposed to be when he was younger, before he had all the ACL tears and knee problems that he's had over his entire NFL career. Now ETN still looks good, but I think that this front office with Jacksonville, they want to rotate this guy in. They picked this guy, hand selected to play this guy, get him involved in the passing game, which, the touchdown that he scored, it was a simple dump-off pass and just shakes 2 guys and gets in the end zone. You can see a lot more with this guy. This guy was a very athletic running back. He was a 9.7 RAS score. We did a profile breakdown on Basil Tootin in the offseason in the video called 4 Deep Sleeper Rookie Running Backs. He was one of the guys I talked about. New Jersey guy as well, so you got to show some love for Jersey. But it's pretty clear, even the fact that he is the backup to ETN, he has a role established in the Jacksonville offense that's relevant. Okay, 20 to get 15 points in 25% of the snaps. What happens when that snap count goes up to 50, which it could very well be, considering ETN is very brittle. I mean, that's why it's still like I get why they trade Bigsby, but like the thing I will say to ETN, call me a hater, just maybe I'm sour. Bigsby was my guy and yada yada, but ETN has proven time and time again that he's great in September, he's great in October, he's going to be phenomenal weeks 1, 2, 3, 4, but as the season wears along, the carries add up. He's not the same player. He just can't. His body can't handle it, and that's where I think Basil too, and especially when you start getting around here right after that bye week, he could really pop. So probably, I mean, he should be off the waiver wires. I mean, there's no reason that Basil Tune should be on there, but if he is on there, you literally drop everything right now, throw all your fab money, and get Basil Tune on your team. Now a couple receivers. I couldn't believe I heard that Wandell Robinson was available in some leagues out there. The fact that he's only 29% rostered on sleeper leagues is ridiculous. He was a guy that we had on the offseason every single 13th, 14th round on best ball. I have probably like 58% of Wandell Robinson on best ball. He's on the field 70% of the plays. He's a slot receiver. And the Giants, as bad as their quarterback situation still is, it's a lot more viable than it was last year, which is a little weird because Danny Dimes is doing pretty well with the Colts so far. I mean, he's looking pretty good, but Sierra's husband looked good versus the Cowboys defense, but I don't know if that's really going to continue. But anyway, it makes the receivers viable at the very least. And Wandell Robinson had a hell of a game last week. Even just taking away this, I mean, the Cowboys defense isn't that good. I mean, I'm telling you, as a fan, it's not a secret. Their corner depth is horrendous. They have no corners right now. Aside from Diggs, their corners are trash. Their safeties aren't that great either. So receivers are going to have a big day against the Cowboys, point blank, period. And Wandell Robinson was able to take advantage of a UDFA that was playing against him, and he had 8 receptions for 142 yards. Good for him. He's not going to have 28 points every single week, but I could definitely see him still having 10 points every single week. He's going to get the volume. He's an easy dump off, and if you're in 1 point PPR leagues, 6 catches for 55 yards every single week is totally viable. It's an easy 11 points, and it's reliable. Okay, that's what's so hard about fantasy is who the F is reliable. I mean, there's so many guys out there that oh man, he's got upside. Oh man, he's wheels up, man, wheels up. But a lot of these guys, are they really reliable? Do we throw them in our lineup? It's like, oh yeah, he will do that. We do that with our first, second, and third round picks. Whoever you picked in the first, second, third round, we rely on those guys. But with Wandell, you're not looking at him, to get a big boom week. But I know he's good for 10 points. And that, to me, that's valuable. The way I want to play fantasy, that's viable. Especially when injuries start piling up and you start looking around for players. There's he should have never been on the waiver wires even before the Cowboys game. There's definitely no way he should be on the waiver wires now. That's ridiculous that he was on the waiver wires. He's the perfect wide receiver 5 to 6. Literally the guy that if you get an injury, you put him in, you just get your 10 points and you move on. It's a perfect player. No reason he should be on the waiver wires. Next guy out there, I talked about him in the offseason a little bit. Now every show in the world is talking about him. And to be honest, I think he's fantasy relevant and even startable in some sense. And that's Alec Ayomanor, however you say his last name. Interesting fact. I'm sure you guys have heard of it by now. I've mentioned it before, but this guy had 210 yards or whatever, 250. I forget what the stat is, but he had 200 plus yards at the University of Stanford when he played against Travis Hunter, who was at Colorado. Okay. Travis Hunter playing defensive back, guarding him one-on-one. He had 200 yards against. This guy's a really good player. He went way too late in the draft. I can't believe he fell to the 4th round. He was a day 2 player, in my opinion. Took a little bit while, but now I think Tennessee's finally realizing he's the second best receiver they have behind Ridley. Last week, I mean, he caught that ridiculous touchdown. I mean, that touchdown throw was stupid. I mean, that's not going to happen. That shouldn't happen again. If it does happen again, Cam Ward's going to get intercepted. But If you guys know what I'm talking about, I don't even need a show clip. If you watch the games, you know what I'm talking about. But that's just not going to happen again. So you take that away, though. 73% of the snaps, you know, still was on the field as the primarily the wide receiver too. I think it's pretty much established right now. I mean, Lockett's going to be on the field in a slot role. Van Jefferson is whack, and Shamir DK was a guy who was picked ahead of him, but really hasn't shown the same versatility when it comes to his route running that Yomanor does. DK is more of kind of a go route type of guy, but Tennessee just doesn't have that in their arsenal right now. Cam Ward can't make those throws right now. They don't have the time on the offensive line. They need a guy that's really good short to intermediate, and that's what A.O. Manor is going to do. And look, I mean, they're going to be behind in a lot of games. Tennessee's still not a good team. Ridley, they're having trouble getting going already, but Yomanor has been the guy so far for the Titans that has been the most reliable. It's kind of crazy to say through 2 weeks, but I'm wheels up on this guy. Okay, calling an overreaction, but I think this guy's going to be a borderline flex player for the rest of the year. You can go ahead and throw him in your lineups. I think after we talked about him last week. I don't think there's a chance he's on the waiver wires, but um, if he's on the waiver wires somehow, some way, you run to the waiver wires, you go get him. But I just don't think there's a chance, especially after this past week. He'll be gone after this week. But if he is, strong bids. Like those three guys, strong bids. Now, I saw. Let me check. So Yomanor is 29% rostered. That's still a joke, man. What kind of leagues are these guys playing in? Tillman was 46% roster. There's no way he's out there. But guys, we talked about Tillman already. We talked about him. We talked about him in a preview show too, in the week one preview show, that he was more reliable than Jerry Jeudy. So there's no way he's on the. I couldn't believe that people had him in waiver wire articles, and I'm surfing articles all throughout the day, pretty much, just rounded up names to see who I got to cover. I was shocked to see his name in a waiver wire article. I thought he was a 13th round draft pick. You put him on the bench the rest of the year. There's no way he went undrafted. But believe it or not, there's some leagues that are that dumb. Guys, get with the times. If these guys are on the waiver wires, come on. What kind of leagues are we playing in? Again, another guy out there. If you're listening to this show, he's not on the waiver wire because he's on your team. And you see right there, Jewels Johnson. Okay, now a guy that we can consider a top 10 tight end for the rest of the year. He's going to get the targets. He's on the field every single play. There's no way he's on waiver wires, especially after my strong case last week for putting a big bid on him to secure him as your tight end for the rest of the year, considering the tight ends are absolute S show right now. Aside from, McBride, Laporte is good. Brock Bowers was hurt. George Kittle's on the IR. I mean, all you guys, got to get my tight ends early. How's that working out? Not too good. Meanwhile, you put a bid on Juwan Johnson, you're doing okay. Once again, I'm right about the freaking tight ends. What do you know? Not that I even invented that strategy, but just another year where this proves that you're going to be fine if you do this way. So, no way he's on waivers if you listen to this show, but maybe you tune in for the first time. If he's somehow on the waivers, bid your house on him. But there's no way he is. And then also Harold Fanning, let's mention him. Rookie, the snap is not as good as Juwan Johnson, but he's going to get involved 9 points a week. I think it's a very safe expectation for this guy, but it's still a very rosterable player. He's got upside. He's a great athlete. Flacco, Gabriel, whoever the quarterback is, they're going to want to go short to intermediate. They're not going to throw long balls. So these guys they're going to want to scheme up him and Njoku in a way to make it easier for the quarterbacks. And on top of that, these guys are pretty much check down quarterbacks. So both of these guys I can see making a big time impact. Now, I think that's enough of the obvious guys. Let's start to make our way into the guys that you should bid on. I guess we'll start. Quarterbacks are really difficult. I mean, obviously another guy too. I'm not a fan really, but Daniel Jones, guys, two 20-point games back to back. I think he's very rosterable for the rest of the year. The rushing upside is there with this guy, even though he only had 2 yards. He's going to get goal line carries as a quarterback. They're going to, Steichen was with Filthy, so they're going to do some variation of the tush push as well, which is good for quarterback points. So number 2 quarterback overall, he should be on all rosters at this point. I'm not even if he was a free agent, I still wouldn't make a strong bid for him just because I've never been a fan of Danny Dimes, and it's just not even due to the Giants. It's just I don't think he's a good player. It's a lot. I mean, through 2 games, he's been really good, but um, I'm just not. I'm not in on him. But if he should be on rosters, if he's still out there. Now let's go to the quarterbacks that might be on the waiver wires, and there's really only one guy I want, and that's Bryce Young. Bryce Young, I think, is we kind of want to get ahead of this. He hasn't shown a lot so far, but uh, Carolina's going to be behind in every single game. Their defense is still bad. He had 21 points last week, and you watch that game. I mean, Carolina almost won that freaking game. That is embarrassing for the Cardinals. You're up 26-3 in the third quarter. You almost had one of the worst blown leads in the history of the game, if not for Atlanta in the Super Bowl. I mean, that was ridiculous how you let that happen. That's an absolute colossal disaster, even though you just skirt past it and managed to eke out the win. You should be embarrassed for how that. But Bryce Young got them back in that game. Well, Kyler Murray, the midget as I call him, he threw them into the game by throwing that ridiculous interception. I would have, that's a fine in my opinion. You should be fined $100,000 for throwing a pick like that. But Bryce Young really stepped up from there on out and started making some serious throws. The stat line shows, 55 attempts is a little ridiculous. I don't think that'll happen again, but 300 plus yards, 3 touchdowns, #1 overall pick. He's in his third year. He's got Ted McMillan there, who's an absolute stud. Leggett, they can't get on the same page, but I think there's enough for Bryce Young to eventually be a viable quarterback down the line. And then you look at the next matchups: Atlanta, New England, Miami, Dallas. That's pretty easy matchups. So Atlanta is a team last year I think he had pretty good games against. For a backup quarterback, I want to get on Bryce Young now. I don't want to wait till we see 3 games to go to Bryce Young where everybody's sprinting to the waiver wires. We were on him in the offseason. Week 1 was a disaster, so I can understand why he got dropped in a lot of leagues, but he showed last week he's viable. 20 points is very, very viable. A lot of people are talking about Geno Smith and Jake Browning. What the hell is the upside with those guys? Browning's a backup quarterback. Nobody cares about him. I mean, really, you're betting on him because of the receivers, but still, nobody's betting on Jake Browning. Geno was an absolute train wreck last night. I like Geno personally. I met Geno before, so I like him personally, yada, yada. But taking all that away, I mean, Bryce Young has got way more upside than Geno. That's a fact. Bryce Young has more upside than any player on the waiver wire, including Cam Ward, for being honest with you, considering how many miles he has to go. At least with Bryce Young, we've seen him throw 3 touchdown games numerous times in his career. Hasn't been a lot, but he's shown that he could do it. Carolina is probably in one of the better situations for fantasy where they have some bit of an offense. They have an offensive coach who's supposed to be a quarterback guru, and their defense is bad. So let's get on Bryce Young now before other people get on him. That's really my whole entire case with him. Go ahead, make him your backup quarterback now, guys. And if you got to start him in a pinch, go ahead. Sam Darnold, I've always thought he's whack, but if you need a starter for this week, he's playing the Saints. It's really my only case with I can't sell you hard on Aaron Donald. Aaron Rodgers, I was big on last week, but he kind of came back down there at 10 points. Going against New England, but it's hard. I mean, I was actually making a strong case last week for Aaron Rodgers, but now this week I'm like, the hell with Aaron Rodgers. Give me Bryce Young. All right, let's go on to the running back. So running backs, #1 running back, you guys, probably #1 player this week, Woody Marks. Houston's offense is an absolute joke, but the one thing that I think will come viable through this Houston offense is Woody Marks. Woody Marks is really the only pass-catching running back they have. Wale's there, but he's like 31 years old at this point. He's totally irrelevant. Dameon Pierce is a healthy and active. And then aside from Chubb, they have missing a guy. I'm totally fair. I think it was Wale, but Woody Marks is flying up the depth chart. And when rookie running backs are flying up the depth chart, get on him, stash him. Okay, he should have already been a stash. He was like a 15th round pick on my draft board. I didn't really get around to getting him just because when it comes to these home leagues, there's usually great values. Like Isaac Tesla is a guy that I had in the 11th round, but he was like last pick. So I'll take Tesla over Marks. But if, In sharp leagues, he's probably claimed, but in most home leagues, I mean, he's 14% roster. He's probably on the waiver wires, guys. So go ahead and go get him. Um, he is what you call a satellite back, pass catching back, satellite back, pretty much the same thing. Nick Chubb, at this point of his career, he doesn't have that role. Woody Marks, they actually traded a third round pick of this upcoming 2026 draft to go draft him. So they really liked him a lot. And he's really the only guy in that room that has some juice. And man, that Texans offense needs some freaking juice. I mean, they are horrible. Their offensive line is terrible, but um, at least with Woody Marks, you could see a pass catching role that I think is very, very viable. They have to, CJ Stroud's really missing an underneath target badly. I think he really misses Tank Dell. They got to get Tank Dell back. They're going to get Christian Kirk back this week, which will help a little bit. I'm not the biggest fan of him fantasy wise, but he will help, and it'll be somewhat of a slot guy to kind of take some pressure off CJ Stroud, and it might open up things down the field for Nico Collins, which I know would be a big hope for me, considering how much stock I have for him. But I think Woody Marks can also contribute as well. And, just a simple theory, guys. Anytime a rookie running back is going up the depth chart, go ahead and grab the guy because you just never know how high a ceiling could be. He could take over Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb's 30 years old with a bad knee. He could easily take over. So you just never know. Go ahead and grab this guy now. But sharper leagues, he's probably off the waiver wire, so it's not worth talking about him too much. We'll go a couple more guys, and then we'll move on to receivers. Another guy, Blake Corum. I think he's worth mentioning. Not a steep bid on him, but they talked about in Los Angeles they want to do a little bit more rotation. And, Blake Corum can definitely be that guy to add to the rotation. He also drafted Hunter from Auburn, but Corum was a guy they put a third-round pick into last year, 5 carries, 44 yards. He got a goal line touch, which is really important. Even though they paid Kyren Williams, I think they want to preserve Kyren Williams a little bit and, working with Corum. Last year, they didn't do any of Blake Corum, which shocked me. I mean, I couldn't believe it. But I always have a theory of rookie running backs that we picked the previous year. We picked them, to be an 8th, 9th, 10th round pick, which we picked Blake Corum, and they bust. A lot of people just kind of say, screw them. They're trash, right? That second year is really the year to go get them because, they're the same guys. Nothing's changed. If anything, they've probably gotten a little bit better. And their ADP has plummeted. Like Blake Corum, he was an undrafted player. So in this case, what's the difference between looking at him last year? It was like, oh my God, this guy can come in and be the running back 2 on a high octane offense like the Rams, where they're shown to produce fantasy studs year after year after year. But this year, because of what he did, because what happened last year, this year he ain't going to do nothing. Doesn't really make any sense. If anything, we should still be looking at him the same way we looked at last year. We're just getting a discount on him. And then on top of that, the Rams have been more vocal about rotation in the running back room. That's only what Sean McVay wanted. Maybe last year he just didn't get pass pro. I don't know. It was a huge mystery why they never got Corum on the field, but finally seems like they're turning the corner on that and putting Blake Corum on the field. So before this thing possibly takes off, get on Blake Corum, guys. It's a good offense you want to have pieces of, and it's most importantly a good running scheme and running back, just a good room for running back. So I'll get on Blake Corum. Also, another guy I will mention while his name is up, Chris Rodriguez. This is only like $1 bid on this guy. He was inactive, but Eckler's gone for the year. They're going to be in a total just a frenzy in the running back room. Krosky Merritt's going to get the start. Jeremy McNicholas, he's a guy that is pretty much like 30 years old. He's been on, 5-6 teams. There's no upside there, in my opinion. Everybody says he'll be the pass catching back, but what's the future with this guy? If you're Washington, why not play young guys? They're going to definitely play Merritt, but I want to play this guy as well. He probably doesn't have the pass game like McNicholas, but I think Rodriguez is definitely a guy you could rotate in that entire running back room and be a guy. Last year he averaged like 5 yards per carry on that was only like 40 touches tops, but just in that little sample size alone showed he could at least be a rotational guy. And considering that, even though Krosky Merritt's the starter, like the running back room is still like it's a free for all. I mean, Eckler was the only guy that was penciled in to be a starter. They traded away Robinson, so who's to say they don't start experimenting with their running back room? Last guy I want to talk about, keep an eye on him. I'm probably not going to bid too much on him. He's a guy we liked a lot in the offseason. That's Jaden Blue. Um, a lot of people, have heard about reports of him lazy and all this nonsense. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I definitely think there's some struggles from what I've kind of read into being a fan of the team. There's definitely been some struggles with consistency, adjusting to the pro level. Like, I guess we could attribute it to laziness, but I just think calling a player lazy who we haven't really seen him behind the scenes with our own eyes is a little for a 21-year-old kid who really doesn't get the pros. Now, if this guy was, 28 and sitting on a fat contract, like James Harden, Joel Embiid, you're lazy. But I just think he doesn't really get the pro game. He better get it quick. But the coaching staff's kind of playing a little bit of putting him in the doghouse. Hey, you're not gonna play if you're not doing what we need you to do Monday through Friday. Totally understandable. But my whole case with Jaden Blue is Javonte's done really good this year for the Cowboys. Their offensive line has looked really good as well. I mean, let's not forget that. The Cowboys' old line, I don't want to say it's back to the heyday, but it's been a lot better than recent years. So um, Javonte's profited off that. He's looked really good. Showed some nice patience, nice power. But the problem with the Cowboys' offense is they have no speed. They have no speed out to the offense whatsoever. Lamb, Pickens are great players. They're not fast players. They're 4 or 5 guys. Javonte's a 4 or 5 guy. Miles Sanders is a 4 or 7 guy. I mean, he's supposed to be the Saquon Barkley Jr. in terms of athleticism, but he don't look like that at all. He looks slow as hell to me. Jaden Blue is a 4-3 guy. He's the fastest guy they have on offense, excluding Turpin, who unfortunately is now hurt. I don't know how bad it is, but Devontae Turpin is hurt. So Jaden Blue is the most explosive guy they have. And behind that offensive line, and considering the fact that he could possibly get a running back, get a receiving role, this is a guy, we already liked a lot as a 10th round pick in the offseason. Just because he's inactive, people are putting him on the waivers. He's going to eventually get activated. There's no way that he's just going to sit on the bench for 6 more weeks. I could honestly see him being activated this week if he gets his head down, puts in the work, does what he wants. I mean, the coaches want to activate him at this point. They need some speed on that offense desperately. That's the next thing with this Cowboys offense that could really take it to the next level is getting a speed threat out there. And this is the guy. This is the guy that could possibly do it. I'm not saying he's going to be the next Devon A-Chain, but I mean, there's definitely a role there, and there's definitely some talent with this guy, and there's definitely a good offensive line, which we know, which is probably the most appealing thing. Is Javonte having the season that he has if he's playing for the Broncos? I don't think so. I think this is a fresh start coming to this offensive line really, really helped him. I think Jaden Blue could take advantage of that a little bit more. I mean, he probably doesn't have the patience and the vision and sort of the I don't know, maybe instincts is the right word that Javonte has and the experience, but he's a lot more faster than Javonte. I know that for a fact. So there's going to be some plays for this guy where I think they're going to be really fast, really explosive, and I just want to stash him now because it could definitely be a similar pop like A-Chain where he gets involved, he gets 12 touches, and then one of them is a touchdown, and everybody on the waiver wire show the next week, oh my God, Jaden Blue is a pickup of the week. We're trying to get ahead of this stuff, guys. Okay, I get it. Waivers are pretty dry. Having a guy that's projected 0 points doesn't look too good on your bench, but we're not thinking about it for week 3, week 4. We're thinking about it for week 8, week 9. Okay, so just try to expand your horizons a little bit when we're going through these waiver wires. Let's move on to receivers. So the number one guy this week at wide receiver, Troy Franklin. Sort of a slot role kind of for Troy Franklin. In my opinion, he's probably the number one guy that's in terms of the guys that are really out there, not the guys that we first talked about. He's probably the number one pickup of the week. The only problem with him is not him. It's the fact that Sean Payton loves he wants to rotate. He might even rotate Bo Nix for all we know. He rotates all the running backs. He rotates the receivers. He rotates the tight ends. I mean, he just loves rotate. He just rotates to rotate. I mean, I don't even get it. I guess his theory is, we got to keep everybody fresh. But I mean, you look at this, this depth chart for in Denver. I mean, he'll put in Trent Sherfield. He'll put in Adam Troutman or whatever. He'll put in. I don't even know these guys, but they're probably on the field, not even looking at him. He puts in Tyler Beatty. You know, and then if he weren't the coach, I'm not saying he's a bad coach, but he weren't the coach, those guys wouldn't even see the field, man. They'd be sitting on the bench the whole game. But you have to account that for fantasy because it's a pain in the ass. Now, 83% of the snaps is nice. I hope it continues. There's a lot of reasons it will continue. Number one, there's a deep connection between him and Bo Nix. They played in college together. It's definitely something worth mentioning because I think Bo Nix is probably vocal about getting him on the field a lot more. I think there's definitely a lot more trust and chemistry between him and Marvin Mims and Pat Bryant and Sherfield and maybe even Cortland Sutton. Cortland Sutton obviously is the better player, but I think if the chemistry is there between him and Troy Franklin, you know, it's worth mentioning. Now he's got a little bit of a bigger body, but he's a lightweight receiver, which kind of makes him more of a shifty slot guy. He's got good speed as well, but he's not tiny. He's not like 5'9". He's 6'3". I mean, which is really interesting with this guy. When I watched him, I remember last year watching him. I thought he was a day two player, and he sort of reminded me a little bit of Olave on New Orleans. Skinny as hell, but he's decent at route running, has good speed, and can possibly make plays down the field or make plays in the intermediate game, which is overall a good player. I mean, I thought Denver got a steal, and I drafted him a lot in best ball last year, and again, nothing. So does that mean this year he's trash? No. If anything, he got better over the offseason, spent another offseason with Bo Nix. And, Marvin Mims, as much as I want to like him, I mean, what has he really done? I mean, let's pull up his numbers right now. Hasn't been that impressive. 36% of the snaps last week. I mean, he had 10 catches or 10 points because he had a touchdown, but the consistency isn't there with Marvin Mims. I mean, with Troy Franklin, I mean, he showed a lot more consistency, and I'm gonna be surprised after this week. Bo Nix kind of goes to Sean Payton's office and says, "Hey, this is the guy I want on the field opposite Sutton for the rest of the season, point blank period. No more rotating, no more playing around with the snap counts. This guy can win us some games. He's the best second receiver we have. Get him on the field. This is my guy." And I mean, that alone. I mean, that alone to me is a huge selling point to have a starting receiver on the waiver wire in a week where we're not really looking at a bunch of guys on the waiver wire. I think I kind of made my point. But 24 points last week, really good upside. It's definitely not going to have that. I think 9 points is a pretty solid, safe projection. He had 8 points last week on half the snaps, but I don't know if I have 80, but the whole split thing is just it's something to monitor because Sean Payton will definitely be goofy like that, but I can't imagine it happening much longer. As far as receivers, guys, I mean, we could scan right now, but I'm not. I mean, Christian Kirk, you could go ahead and grab him, I guess, if he's out there. I'm not really a big fan of him, but I don't care about any of these guys. I really don't. Okay. Also, Keyshawn Boutte, I'll talk about him. We already talked about him last week, but if he's still out there, guys, he had a really weird game. I mean, he had a touchdown, but he had one target. Really weird. I don't know what the hell happened. I'm still trying to look into the deep analytics of that, but considering a game where they scored 33 points, I thought he had a lot more than that. I thought he was going to explode after he caught that touchdown, but I just was like looking at the score. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And just didn't get the ball. I thought he got hurt. I don't know, but he didn't get the ball after that. Really weird, but I think there's still a connection between him and Drake May. There's no reason he should be on the waiver wires. Go ahead and add him to your team if he's somehow still on the waiver wire. Now let's move on to tight ends and let's close this show out. Tight ends for this week. We already talked about the obvious. Let's see who's on the waiver wire for tight end. Really only one guy I want to talk about, and that's Jatavion Sanders. Another guy that kind of helped, teamed up with Bryce Young for that surge back in the Cardinals game. 66% of the snaps is concerning. They have Tommy Tremble on the field as a starter because he's better of a run blocking tight end, but we talked about Jatavion Sanders plenty in the offseason. 9 targets last week, 7 catches, 54 yards. I mean, that's a very, very solid floor. He got a lot of red zone targets as well. So this is a guy that he has the athletic profile, 6'4", 250, 5-star recruit, 4'5" guy. You know, this is a really good athlete of a guy that can make a great tight end. He has the model of a great tight end, and it really was only I never questioned his play. I always questioned the volume, but the volume might be there. I mean, he's another guy. I think Bryce Young's going to have to kind of go to what's the coach's name, Dave Canales' office and say, hey, can we get Jatavion Sanders more involved? Now over here they have him number 1 on the depth chart, but Tommy Tremble's still going to be out there on first and second downs at the very minimum because he's a better run blocker than Sanders. This just is what it is. But Leggett has really shown a lot of inconsistency. I've put him on the drop list specifically just because it's we've seen no improvement from him so far. That's really concerning to me. Like, Franklin, we've seen improvement from him, but we've seen no improvement from Leggett, and that's just very disappointing. Hunter Renfro, he's 30 years old. I don't want to say he's over the hill because he could have a solid floor like a Wandell, a less explosive Wandell, but I just don't really care for players that we've already seen, been in and out of the game. I just don't really care for players like that. Jatavion Sanders, he's 22 years old. His best days are ahead of him. Those are the players we want. Okay, guys with their best days are ahead of him. Exactly the type of player, second-year prospect. And the case here ultimately is he could be the wide receiver 2 in a sense where he's not a receiver, but he's probably the second most trusted target from Bryce Young. I mean, when the chips were down and he had to make plays, Sanders got the ball, McMillan got the ball. Leggett didn't help him at all. Renfro got the ball a little bit, but he was just kind of there and open. Nobody cares about Renfro. Nobody's scared about Renfro, but red zone, they were targeting Sanders. So it's not a guy that I want to put serious money on, but he's a guy that let's get him now before other people get him. So that's right, guys. If I'm being honest with you, it's a little bit of a dry week, but kind of the overarching theme with all of this. Get these guys now before week 8. Everybody's like, oh my God, Jatavion Sanders. Oh my God, Bryce Young. Oh my God, Jaden Blue. We already want to have these guys on our team by then. So it's dry, but let's try to take advantage of it in a sense where we don't really have to bid any money for these guys. And, if we're in a pinch and we got to cut them for kicker and defense, or we just want them off the team because, you've got to have some other guy, fine, cut them. Probably cut them at no risk because they'll stay on the waiver wire. But I want to, if we're really that blank, let's try to dig a little bit deeper. As bad as the waiver wire might be, let's try to dig a little bit deeper and get ahead of the game. So there you guys have it. I'll see you guys on Friday for the preview show. Join the Discord if you want any questions answered, and let's get this money.